Do you know how to solve a radical equation? Well, first, before we can solve a radical equation, let's review what we mean in mathematics when we talk about an inverse. An inverse means the opposite. Now you may think the opposite of what? Well, the opposite operation or the opposite procedure that gets done. So think about it this way. When we multiply, the inverse would be division. When we add, the inverse would be subtraction. When we square a number, the inverse would be to find a square root of that number. When we cube a number, the inverse would be to find the cube root of that number. When we take a number and put it to the fourth power, the inverse would be to find the fourth of that number, and on and on and on. When we solve radical equations, we're going to need to use the inverse of different operations. Let's take a look. The square root of 2x plus 2 equals 6. Now this is a radical equation. It's an equation and it has a radical sign. Now the first thing that has to happen when you have a radical equation is that we have to clear the radical. We clear the radical by using the inverse. The inverse of a radical is a square. So here's what it would look like to use the inverse to clear the radical. First, let's rewrite what we started with. 2x plus 2 is equal to 6. Now to get rid of this radical, we're going to square this whole quantity. What you do on one side of the equals, we have to do on the other. So we square this one. And as step 2 we've written in is to use squaring. Now, let's see what happens. This square and this square root cancel each other, leaving us with 2x plus 2 on the left side of the equation. 6 squared is 36. Now we have a two-step equation, and we can solve it. Let's use the inverse of addition, subtraction. Subtract 2 from both sides. These cancel, bring down the 2x. 2x is equal to 34. X is equal to 17. This is our solution. Now let's look at another one. The square root of 3x plus 1 is equal to 4. Again, now we're going to use squaring to clear the radical. We square this side and we square this side. The square and the square root cancel, which leaves us with 3x plus 1. 4 squared is 16. Now we solve the equation. Subtract 1 from both sides. These cancel. 3x is equal to 15. X is equal to 5. This is our solution, and our work is complete.